Spoilers ahead.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Cinematic Trinity, where we talk movies, games and TV shows. And this week we're back with a new release and we're talking about Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, which recently came out, so let's get into it. So yeah, Furiosa is the prequel to Mad Max Fury Road. I guess go around first of all, because I mean, out the gate, I really liked Mad Max Fury Road, so going into this, I was quite excited. What did you guys think of Mad Max Fury Road?
Well, I've not seen it since it came out, so you know there certain bits I can remember of it, certain bits I can't. But I remember it being an enjoyable film, and I think I got the opportunity to watch it in cinema, which I don't think either of you did.
No.
So, if anything, I got the best experience out of the film, which is quite good. But yeah, I've not seen it for years, so I remember enjoying it.
Yeah.
But past that, I can't really.
Not something you've rewatched since.
I haven't seen it again since.
Yeah, well, I've only obviously watched it the once after you made me watch it, and it wasn't that long ago.
It was me and Tia do December movie nights where we watch a film in the lead up to Christmas. So we did Mad Max Fury Road was one of those days, like a few years back.
Yeah, I don't really. I think I famously don't like this film, and I feel like it's a real you hate me because I don't like this film because I didn't like Fury Road, but I think it's the theme sort of continues over into this one where I just don't resonate with it. Like, I know that probably sounds like really lame of me to say, but I just don't feel excited about this world that they're in, like this dystopian future. I feel like, and I said this to you when we came out of it, I feel like I should really like these films because I do like a bit of action and all the cars and the props and the fight and whatever.
Right.
Like I should really like all that stuff and it should like really get me like hyped up, but it just didn't. And I think that's a shame. I don't know what it could have done better. But I mean, I always say that Fury Road just like absolutely nothing happens because nothing does happen. And this one, there's definitely stuff happens, but I still found it really boring. So that's probably a controversial opinion for both of the films, but I stand by it.
Okay, well, if we get straight into it then, so I mean, this film is obviously a prequel to Fury Road, basically follows Furiosa's storyline, like her revenge quest against this guy called Dementus, who basically kidnaps her from her, the place she was raised, called the Green Place, which is this place of abundance where there's like loads of green and water and farm and animals and stuff like that. And she gets taken from there. And
when she was little, and it follows her whole life right up until Fury Road, basically.
Yeah. So like performance-wise, like there's with the world of Mad Max as it is, there's quite a colourful cast of characters. Obviously, the world is flipped upside down. It's this post-apocalypse, so everyone's kind of gone a bit mental, kind of gone a bit mad, obviously, as per the what the series is known for. But obviously this film stars Anya Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth in the title roles. So obviously they're the two main people. So what did you guys think of them to begin with?
I mean, well, I think we should talk about the fact that Anya Taylor-Joy, from the things that we've just seen and heard ourselves, only had 30 lines of dialogue in the entire film. And it didn't feel like she wasn't talking an awful lot. So that really, kind of shows how good she is at expressing like emotions and telling a story visually, as well as through like the dialogue she has and stuff. So it was never something I noticed until like the video we just watched of something.
It didn't feel like whoever wrote it had like purposefully said, I want there to be as little dialogue as possible. It just felt like it was all just very like natural and well placed, well thought out, but not like they've purposefully tried to not have a lot of dialogue in it. It just feels like that's the way it should be.
I think even like Tom Hardy in the first Mad Max movie only had like 40 lines of dialogue, so they can't. And he was in it for like the full length, whereas like Anya Taylor-Joy doesn't come into it for like the first like half an hour, 40 minutes probably in like this 2.5 hour movie. So I think actions speak louder than words with like the portrayal she was giving. Like she does do a lot of emoting with her face and stuff, so it works well, and I think she does help to carry the film. And like the person who plays the younger version of her as well, again, like I don't think she has many lines of dialogue, but like still very good.
I mean, you hate child actors, don't you? And you hate kids in anything, as you've been talking about with Doctor Who recently. But actually, it was fine. Like, I didn't think, oh god, child actor ruining everything again. You know, it was just like, oh no, it's just a normal performance, you know, that can be rated the same as any other, I think.
Yeah.
With the younger version.
Yeah.
And this is like completely like detached from anything, but I just remember when watching, like when she's running in the thing, she looks like she's running really quickly.
Yeah.
Like she's got some power behind her.
She goes like full hell
really
right down the hill,
effort.
doesn't she? It's like, wow. Damn.
Yeah.
And and then I thought, again, she's pretty good, Anya Taylor-Joy. But I feel like the main star of the movie and who like kind of stole the show for me personally was Chris Hemsworth. Like,
agreed. I think that this is actually the best thing he's ever done. I think it's
quite a lot of people
the best
are saying
thing that I've seen him in. Like, because I didn't like the Thor films. Like, I never and I thought Thor as a character, he really like just got on my nerves a bit. And then I feel like Chris Hemsworth didn't like sell out, but maybe did sell out a little bit. And so I think it's nice to see him something where he is just completely different, and we can just sort of remember why they sort of are actors in the first place. It's not like it's a big difference to just be like in Marvel films to like not proper
He didn't really do many like dramatic or like any roles that kind of pushed him out of his comfort zone, because he was in he did Thor, he was in the Ghostbusters, like the female Ghostbusters movie, which I mean, I think even when me and you saw that, we kind of thought he was the best bit about that, just because his like comedy was really good in that. And then he was in, I didn't watch it, but like Men in Black, he was in the new one they did of that, which didn't review very well. And this, he's just the charisma he shows, like in his acting, he is just brilliant. He plays like Dementus, who's this other warlord in this world. He's got like this weird like biker horde that follows him everywhere, so it's just like some cool shots of like just him riding his like chariot, which is made out of like motorcycles, and he's got like 1,000 bikers behind him, and like you see them like tearing up like the landscape and stuff with like all the smoke and stuff they're kicking up. Looks really
I would hate to be any of the bikers from like the front, maybe like 20 meters back in the middle, because it's just a massive cloud of just sand and smoke. Just oh god. It'd be dreadful.
I couldn't think
your
of
lungs would just be
worse.
full of like.
Oh, you got the little masks and stuff.
Well, that's not going to do an awful lot.
No.
I protect against the sand, but you're still getting the fumes of all the bikes.
And who knows how practical a Mad Max world will actually translate into the real world. I mean, the amount of like fuel and stuff all the cars go through, because it's like, let's tune up my car and get it to go really fast. So it's like, no, that's just going to consume more fuel. Although I did like the small like bits of practical bits, because like the first like 15 minutes of the movie is when like Furiosa gets kidnapped, so there's like a sort of bike chase going on, so it's one of the people from her tribe trying to get her back, but it'd be like they have to keep like hopping between bikes, which is really cool. And then they like the enemies try and like disable the bikes, but the her mum who's chasing her like manages to fix them, or she'll like take a jerry can full of fuel and like transfer to like keep them up to, keep them up to date with fuel and stuff, which I thought was very very cool.
It's like quite authentic, isn't it?
Which is because it's what you do, isn't it? You sort of try and like make the best as you can with all the equipment that you've got there.
It's a world of scrap and just recycling, really, isn't it? They've
absolutely
built everything to incorporate that.
It can all be changed quite easily.
Because they're just like, I thought you took out that bike's wheel, what are you doing? It's like, oh no, she just literally changed tyres, got straight back into the chase, which was really cool. But she kind of meets Dementus, so he runs this biker gang, and he's kind of looking to control more bits of the Wasteland as it goes on, and he just like, he kind of like just inspires, like, I wouldn't say hope in his people, but he has like a charisma to him, so some people follow him just because of like the stuff he's spouting, or he'll like sort of rule through fear. So he does the bit where like bikers like pull apart somebody because they're like the weakest out of the group kind of thing.
What is it in real life that was in Night in the Museum?
So, I'm sorry.
I don't remember Night in the Museum. Anyone think of their limbs pulled off?
No, but they do, don't they? Well, I don't know if it actually happens, but in Night it's Attila the Hun. It's Attila the Hun, isn't it? And that's what they do. He's going. I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to attempt to do what he does. Yeah. I'm 100% right, and it's in Night at the Museum, so it must be real life where they get hold of the arms and the legs, and they just pull.
Oh, I think it was a medieval.
Oh, yeah, no,
like, that was
That's
how
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Sorry,
that's
just-
what
you
happens
started
in
the
real
museum.
Yeah, sorry.
So yeah, it's a medieval execution.
But I couldn't remember what the thing was in Night Museum, but it's Attila the Hun.
Yeah, I remember there's like a Sean Bean death scene where
Yes.
it's like that when they've got the horses. It's like horses pulling him.
Yeah.
But that's one of his famous death scenes. I don't know the film it was in, but
Oh, I thought you
Yeah.
meant in Night in the Museum.
I thought you
was
said-
gonna
I thought
say
you-
he's not in Night in the Museum.
yeah, this is a Night at the
You
Museum
really
too,
love
Lem.
it in the museum.
I'm
really
do you
fixated
know
on
what?
it
It's
now.
funny because I keep saying that I want to watch it recently. I feel like I've mentioned it numerous
Just
times.
right
quite
on the front of your
recently.
brain.
Yeah, well,
We'll watch it later.
we are reviewing Furiosa here. We're not reviewing Night in the Museum.
No.
Tulip.
This is a tulip takeover.
To be fair, I'd rather talk about Night in the Museum than Furiosa because it was so boring.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh god.
Sorry.
So that
Sorry, I went
that,
off topic. I
that
can't remember what you were
tangent.
talking about now.
Well, we're talking about Dementor, so yeah, he like inspires fear and like, or he gets people to sort of be on his
Blah,
side.
blah, blah.
So he kind of meets up with Immortan Joe, who's in the first Fury Road movie. He's like one of the other warlords here. They kind of like he kind of tries to like take control from Immortan Joe, but then it gets like shut down basically in like what was quite a good scene. And then it's like, right, I'll just kind of threaten you to then sort of work with you, but reluctantly kind of thing. So he takes over a place called
Did
Gastown.
we put a spoiler in?
It's at the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I thought was a good scene actually when they like take over Gastown, because they kind of got like there's a segment where they take over like a war rig and they like paint themselves up to be like war boys, because it's all the sand and the water mixed together to make the white paint, which is pretty cool. That's how they take over, and kind of transitions to like Furiosa goes to be with Immortan Joe, like just works for him, because there is harkens back to the first film where like Immortan Joe wants like a child, like wants an heir to his throne kind of thing, but he needs like a healthy child because all his other like children are either like deformed or like are just have like these sort of disabilities which stop them from being
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought
We
it was
haven't-
because they were all girls.
No. He wants like a male heir, but like he wants like a male heir, but it's mostly all his male heirs are like Rictus has like an oxygen tank on his back because obviously he can't like breathe and he's not the smartest. I think Scrotus is just, again the same, where he's like physically strong,
Oh, right.
but he's like mentally not quite there.
Why is that then?
Well, I think it's just the future, isn't it? Like probably the radiation and stuff. Like
Yeah,
I
I
imagine
suppose.
it's like stuff like that.
I didn't pick up on that.
Well, that's because you're not a Fury Road aficionado like me, Tulip.
Yeah.
Um,
Great.
So, like originally, it's like, oh, Furiosa, you can just be my bride, and like I'll obviously breed you to have my babies. But she escapes from that and starts working as like not like as a war boy. Starts working as like a mechanic in like his like the car station and stuff. I don't know what you're even going to call
Workshop.
I
workshop,
think
yeah.
they do say war boy.
Well, there are war boys, but specifically war boys work for Immortan Joe as like his soldiers kind of thing, and they're like the people who will die for Immortan Joe.
Works their way up the ranks of Joe's men for over a decade and helps build the war rig. Mm-hmm. So yes.
Yeah, so she works in the workshop. They build the first edition of the war rig. She's not like an Imperator by this point, so she works for a guy called Imperator Jack, who is basically the guy. Is it Imperator Jack?
No, it begins with a P.
Pete?
Praetorian Jack.
Praetorian Jack, yeah.
Yeah. Jack recognises her potential.
Yeah, so they work together. He kind of helps her, like, because obviously she wants to get back home, so he's kind of like, look, I'll try.
Well,
and
I mean,
help
you should probably mention the scene before that, because I think it's probably one of my favourite scenes of the film.
Oh, yeah, sorry, go.
Which is like before they actually meet, because she's underneath on the rig.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's a stowaway, because she wants to.
Oh,
She's going to
yeah.
drop off at some point and then try and find her hometown essentially, and then they get attacked by Dementuses, like the people that disbanded from that attack on Gastown.
Yeah.
And like it goes really badly for everyone. Mm-hmm. Like the mechanic like dies, and everything almost goes wrong. But then like Furiosa and Praetorian Jack work together without like exchanging a word. They just kind of like have that like mutual look and agreement. Like,
I get you.
We'll get through this kind of thing. And then like that was like quite a nice exchange. And again, it hats off to Anya Taylor-Joy and the actor that played Praetorian Jack, because there was no words there, but there was a lot being said.
Yeah. I get you.
Yeah. I do think it's quite cool, and this is the only thing that I will give it, is the fact that it's cool that they're driving this massive lorry essentially, which is the war rig, and Anya Taylor-Joy is going around like fixing things on the war rig as it's also driving, as people are also shooting at her. And I did think that was quite cool. Like, I will give it that.
I think
That was pretty cool.
That's just, again, like the Mad Max thing of, like, everyone, like, is practical in, like, the action stuff. That's on, like, the first one does it as well, like, where there's a practical element, like, there's like, problem solving going on as well as the action.
Yeah, so I think that adds, like, another level to, it's not just, oh my god, we're gonna die. It's like, you know, actually we've still got to make this delivery. We've got
because she's like hiding under the truck, and then some guy tries to blow it up with dynamite. She like catches the dynamite and like keeps hold of it, and then she's like, oh, I'm gonna use this dynamite to blow up a car. But then like one of the war boys takes the dynamite off of her, because their whole thing is the like witness me, like the suicide kind of thing they do. So he just sort of takes it, does what she was gonna do anyway. And there's like a bit where like at the front of the truck, I think the gas or some, like one of the vents like blows, so it's just fires coming up, and they need to replace the cap on it, and it's just them trying to sort that out. But yeah, no, really cool. And there's like the Dementis' people who are chasing them. There's like some guys on, like, again, whether this would be practical is the like hovercraft they've got. So they've got like the fans on them, and they kind of take up into the sky.
Like paraglider.
On like paraglider. So it's like, because the first film was like quite grounded, and like all the action scenes, again, there is like CGI and stuff.
Grounded
like,
is not the word I would use.
Well, more like it's more like practical looking though. Like I was saying this when we left, because
what did you just say? That this film's more practical?
No.
Right, okay, sorry.
What I was saying when we left was Fury Road was a lot more practical looking. Like the car chases, you looked in like, oh yeah, there is an actual, like, cars are chasing each other, whereas in this one it was kind of like, here's a CGI bike chasing a real looking truck kind of thing. Yeah,
which I think was a real shame. I think obviously, I don't know, there's probably many reasons why there's more CGI, or where the CGI is more noticeable and blah 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 or whatever, but I do think there was a real shame, because it really took me out of it a lot, because of the poor CGI bits in this. Not that there was a lot of practical stuff, and all the practical stuff was fantastic, but some of the CGI, it really I was just like, this is not not what I expect from it's definitely big like budget film.
It aids with the creativity and stuff, like I will give it that, because I mean they're not gonna like build these hovercraft things to work in real life to like film the movies. Like the fact that like George Miller thought, oh, this is a cool like design thing.
It's not those bits that looked bad. It's a lot of like the wide shots and the you know, it's like obviously bits like that they've had to put more effort into it, because it's very like up close, but everything where it's like not as close, they've clearly not put the same amount of effort into it, because you can't see it, but I can just notice it from a mile away.
Because there's like the bit as well, like later on, where Furiosa takes cover behind the gate, and it's like the flamethrower going at her, but it's obviously CGI fire,
flames,
so that looked a bit weird. That was obviously all over the trailer, so there's a few shots in the trailer which I thought, oh, that looks a bit weird, but it kind of still looked weird in the main movie.
Well, what I said to you, I whispered to you, and I said it looks like we're watching like a first draft. Looks like it's not quite finished yet. Or it looks like an episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah, well, you get that sometimes with film trailers, where like you're like, oh, CGI looks a bit off, but it's like, oh no, this will like look better in the final cut, which it does. But like some of the shots here didn't look as great. I feel like the other problem, which we kind of spoke about afterwards, was the audio mixing was a bit weird, because the sound of the cars and stuff, excellent. Like, you know, I love the sound of like them driving. Like there's a bit in the opening with the bike chase, and it's like one of the bikes you could like hear across the desert, and it was just this really good, like
the Thunder bike.
Yeah, Thunder bike. I think. Yeah. Like the sound of that was really cool. But yeah, just the like dialogue mixing, and like I know like some people have kind of come out and say, oh, it's all about the experience of the actions. Like you don't need to care about the dialogue, but because there is a story.
I like to hear the dialogue.
Well, there's a story here, isn't there? And like more so than the first. There's more of a story here than there was in the first movie, so therefore like dialogue is important. Because there's a few bits like when they first meet Immortan Joe, like obviously Dementis has got his microphone, which you can hear Chris Hemsworth fine. It's just the guy playing like the. Oh, I forgot his name.
The other guy.
Yeah.
Like sort of a prospector in like a suit.
I forgot his name. There's something eater, I think. Yeah, the fan controller. Oh dear. But like his microphone's really bad, so it's kind of like and it's like, what are you saying, mate? And then it just cuts back to Chris Hemsworth like speaking normally. You know.
Yeah, that was a problem for a lot of it, and it does wind me up like audio stuff, because I know, and we get this like with Christopher Nolan, where he's like, oh, you know, you don't need to hit. Yes, there's talking, but it's not like key to the story or whatever, but it just really winds me up. It's like when you can hear music in the distance and you can't quite hear what it is, so you're like listening really intently to hear what it is, and it's kind of like stressing you out at the same time. It's like I'd rather be able to hear that music really loudly as if it was in the room with me, it was so loud, or not at all. Like that, it just really like gives me the heebie-jeebies when I can't quite hear, or having to make a real effort to hear something.
So is that like when, like in the actual film itself, there's music far away? Or are you talking about if there's music in the same room?
No, what I'm talking about is in real life, it's annoying. If somebody was playing music in their car 2 streets down, I could hear that there's music, but I can't hear what song it is, what bit of the song it's at.
Right.
And I'm trying to figure it out, but I can't quite hear it. I'd rather it just be so loud even from 2 streets away that and it's the same with like the audio in films. If I'm having to pay attention, it winds me, really like stresses me out.
I kind of get what you're saying, but I don't necessarily agree. Because
does that not wind you up though?
No, because it adds to to what the like this like world building essentially, because you've got like I think it's called diegetic sound, where it's like in like the sounds that you would hear in the actual place that they're in. So if you're like outside, so say it's like,
but this is
say it's like say they're going to like a gig or something, and they've taken themselves outside, like it's like a gig in a pub, and then you can like hear the music, but it's slightly more muffled because, you know, obviously they're outside.
I get that's.
Thing is, you're taking it to the extreme. You're saying if you could hear something like a tiny little voice.
I know, but I'm just like using that as an example of it winding me up, because when they're talking, there was a couple of bits where they were talking, it was just pure dialogue, nothing else happening, pure dialogue, and I was having to listen intently for no other reason other than probably the audio and what was going on with the audio mixing.
I feel like that's slightly different from what I thought you were saying.
Okay. I don't mean like...
That's more like audio levels and stuff.
Yeah,
like when they're recording the
but
dialogue.
it's like, if I can't quite understand what you're saying, it gives me the same... But I probably just have like a heightened sense of that anyway because I'm weird. But it's like, it gives me the exact same feeling as that feeling.
It's like that weird thing where you buy like a Blu-ray and you're like listening to it on TV, and it's like the like action scenes are really loud, but if you have the same volume, the audio is really quiet. Like I hate that kind of audio mixing. This is what this film was like. Yeah. So I'm like, oh great, if I end up buying it on DVD or like watching it on like streaming, that's going to really annoy me. But also, like, you know, I probably should chuck... After the fact, I'd probably just chuck subtitles on and I'd be alright because I don't mind watching stuff with subtitles.
I hate subtitles.
But then, like, you can't be like in a movie and be like, oh, can you put the subtitles on, please? Yeah, I can't hear what they're saying. Whereas, like, this time you could probably watch it afterwards and be like, oh, so that's what they were saying at the time. I wish I knew that, you know, at that time.
Do you watch things with subtitles, Kieran?
Yeah, because I watch things in other languages, so I wouldn't be able to understand it.
That's different when it's in another language, but it still winds me up because I just end up reading the subtitle. Like, I don't actually watch what's going on, I'm just reading the subtitle. I may as well be reading a book.
Yeah, but we tried watching that Kin TV show on BBC, and that's only people speaking in an Irish accent, but we thought, oh, this Irish accent's too strong, so we're going to have to put it on. So I don't really think...
terrible, yeah. We couldn't understand a word they were saying. Terrible scenes.
Oh god.
I mean, sometimes you don't need it for everything, but sometimes it's nice to have subtitles there. Like, even if you don't necessarily read it for every line.
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess I've watched things with subtitles for long enough now.
Whereas for me, it's like I only do it either if it's really, really quiet or if somebody else is watching it and they like to have subtitles on. But I would never watch it with subtitles by my own volition.
There you
go. Anyway, that's off topic.
I know, God, we had the Night of the Museum tangent, and now we've had a...
It's me creating all these tangents.
Let it happen.
So...
It's because I want to talk about anything but this film because I've got nothing to say about it because it was so boring.
I think like another praise I'll give the film is like the world building. So like you kind of mentioned it a bit there, but like the stuff it establishes is really cool, and like it kind of builds off what came before in like Fury Road. So it does explain things like what is Gastown, what is Bullet Farm, and like you've got new people brought in, like you've got the History Man, who are like basically these guys from like the old days before the apocalypse happened. They've just jotted down all like these bits because like the first time Dementus gets introduced, he's got this guy next to him introducing like what bison, like, oh, this motorbike used to have a blah 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 CC engine and, you know, run on blah 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 blah. So it's like, oh, who's this dude? And they'd be like, History Man, what does this mean? And that was, you know, I liked that addition of things, like to the world building. What?
Sorry, don't know
Laughing
why
at
I'm
the
not.
accent just
No,
coming
I
out.
don't know why I'm. I don't know why I'm even laughing.
History Man's just so funny.
I don't know.
Oh, silly men that know things.
Silly History Man. So you get that action scene we just talked about. So so basically they do try and do like escape attempt this time. So they take the war rig out. Praetorian Jack's like, right, Furiosa, take this car. You'll obviously be driving off to the green place now. I'm going to sort of continue on here. But then they go to Bullet Farm because they're like, right, we're in war with Dementus now. We need to like stock up on supplies. But Dementus is already there, so he like ambushes them. Obviously, Furiosa like turns back to try and help Praetorian Jack, and that's like that's a good scene as well.
I said that I liked that scene because I think that you can sort of understand the chemistry between those two characters of Furiosa and Jack. What's his name? And I did really, I enjoyed that scene. I enjoyed the sort of tension of them. They're basically just trying to save each other in this battle, and I think that that's really nice. So I enjoyed that bit.
Yeah, and then you get like. Again, sort of, it's just the CGI stuff there is a bit weird, but that's also where you get how she loses her arm. Actually, how Furiosa loses her arm.
What did I say to you, Kieran? I said that... I'm not even going to let you answer. I'm just going to say it.
I was about to say, please don't bring the answer.
Well, what I said to
It's
Kieran...
like a tested score. It's like, oh.
When it finished, I said, when she loses her arm, well, what happens is, she gets a cut on her arm, and then Dementus captures her.
I would say it's quite a
hangs
cut.
her up.
Her like arm gets scraped against the side of like a truck.
Well, you know, I'm trying to do the short version here. All my stories are very, very long. I'm trying to do the short version. And he hangs her up by
She
her
gets a
arm.
paper cut, and then she loses her arm.
Tiny little pinprick.
That's what it feels like. Anyway, he hangs her up by her arm, and they're all, I don't even know what they're doing. They're making everybody drive around in circles, and they're kind of just
driving bikes.
They're just
Just
messing
guys
about.
doing guy things, you know?
That's what it's like,
the
though.
email.
They forget
No,
that she's there.
Yeah. But
And-
the point is that that's basically how Praetorian Jack dies, because like Dementus captures him and Furiosa, and that's where he does the whole "there is no hope" thing.
Just
and
drags them around.
Yeah, he basically drags Praetorian Jack on like the back of a bike. He then like sets his dogs on them, and basically he dies for being dragged behind the bike, and probably the dogs eat him as well.
And she's held up by her arm, and because they're all ignoring her and they're not paying attention because they're all messing about with their bikes, she escapes, and the arm is left there. And I think that's quite a nice shot where the arm is just left hanging, and she's obviously not attached to the arm, so it's just the arm there.
She's just partially
And what I said was, finally getting there, is that is where the film should have ended. I felt like it should have just ended there, because everything after that, I just completely lost interest. I was ready to go home by that point, and I thought that could have been a really nice place to just end it and just say, look, she's lost her arm. You can guess what happens, you know, and we know that. Like I wasn't interested.
Here's the Fury Road DVD.
Yeah, I wasn't interested from then on, and
Fill
it
in the
kept
gaps.
feeling like it was meant to end. So it should have ended there for me.
Okay.
But then would you have had, like, you've obviously got that ending, but then you wouldn't have had kind of it wouldn't have been an end to the film. It would have just been, film is over.
Yeah, but there's a lot of films like that, isn't there? Where it's kind of just like left up to
Yeah,
interpretation.
But then you know there's Mad Max coming up, so then like people are going to be like, but what happens in this little bit in between?
Yeah, that's literally why they had to do it, because
look,
like,
I get that, but I just don't care. I just honestly could not care less about this. I don't care how she gets to Fury Road. I just don't care.
So basically, what you're saying is they just shouldn't have done this prequel
I
movie,
know.
and you
Also,
shouldn't have gone to cinema to watch
I
it.
shouldn't have even gone to watch it because it really wasn't for me, and I'm being too harsh on it. But you know, by that point, I was ready to go home, and I was ready for it, and I was checking my watch.
I will say with like apocalypse films, like there's loads out there, and there's loads of different settings for like apocalypse films. Like you've got, just some examples like The Last of Us. You've got like the cities that are kind of, you know, aged, and you know loads of like vegetation and stuff has grown.
Yeah.
You've got like the Fallout games, and you know you've got like all sorts of different things. And I feel like Desert Wasteland is my least favourite initial
yeah.
location.
Yeah.
But then it does like the bits I do like about it are like, you know, the towns they have like Gastown and Bullet Farm and things like that, where you see kind of the the infrastructure and the way that they've kind of built up while being in this world. That's the bits I like of it. But it's just when they go there and then it's just desert wasteland.
Yeah.
And then they go somewhere else and it's just desert wasteland.
Yeah, I always
desert,
it feels
really.
very barren.
I almost kind of wish they could have gone back to like the green place. Like I thought that's where it was going to go to, because in Fury Road, like when Furiosa is trying to take like the bride somewhere safe away from Immortan Joe, she's going to try and take them to the green place, but then they go to this location where it's like a swamp basically, and there's like a few like monsters there. But then they find out that's what happened to the green place. It's kind of like, they could have maybe shown that, I suppose, just to sort of break it up a bit. But now I get what it's very like, I don't know. I found it funny how like, because obviously it is set in Australia, there's no sort of doubt, but just the fact that it starts off like Google Maps thing.
I was just thinking, I was just like, is this like modern day America? Like Australia? Is this what it's like there?
Just like starts off as a Google Maps like screenshot of Australia, and then just zooms in, and then the movie starts. So it's just like, okay.
Well, I think that is what it's like in Central Australia. There is just nothing
Well,
there.
so yeah, it's
Everybody
the
lives
outback,
around,
isn't it? Yeah,
everybody lives
yeah.
around the edges, and there's just nothing in the middle. It's just barren.
Yeah, so I think it's the world building helps the setting, I think. Otherwise, if it was just like, it's just sand, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, they could have gone to maybe like an Australian town, because if it's all the outback, maybe you could have gone to... I think the Citadel doesn't really make much sense. It's kind of like a rock cavern thing, but there's also a water filtration system there, so I don't know. I don't know. Also, Gastown looked like a city built around like a...
Crazy.
Yeah, it almost looked like a river of like oil, but I was just like, all it takes is just someone to set that on fire, and then there goes Gastown. But also, I don't know, is it just an endless supply of like gasoline there? I don't know.
Well, I would assume it still holds the...
Maybe it's like a like sort of
real
oil
world
like
things.
refinery kind of place. I don't know, but yeah, stuff like that works. But then sort of after Tulip's point, so where the arm gets torn off, sort of Furiosa makes her way back to the Citadel where Immortan Joe is, and then that's where it kind of like rushes a little bit, because then it's like, we need to take down this Dementus guy, and then just cuts to narration of this history man going, and then there was a 40-day Wasteland War. It's like, we didn't get to see that. All right, cool.
Yeah.
And then it like basically cuts the tail end of the war, where it's basically just Dementus and like 4 other people in his crew are all that's left. So then Furiosa takes a car and then goes after Dementus, which there's again like an action scene where she kills the remaining people, and then she finds Dementus, and that's where they have their final like confrontation, which I think it was alright. Again, Chris Hemsworth's just his acting was pretty good in that, because he obviously talks a lot more than Anya Taylor-Joy does. But I thought what did you like sort of think of it? I thought it was okay.
I mean, consistently throughout the entire film, I think they gave Chris Hemsworth, they said, have fun with it.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And he did that, and he delivered.
Yeah.
And the character they've made and the world that it's in, it allows for a lot more eccentric characters. Yeah. And like other films that Chris Hemsworth's been in, like it's kind of been leading towards like more of like kind of a comedy kind of thing, and a lot of the films that he goes in now are that kind of thing. Yeah. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. They had a good period in the Avengers films where it worked, and now I feel like they've gone too far with it. Yeah. And it's the same thing with Ghostbusters. They had like a good sweet spot there, and they used it at the right times, and they used it well. And I feel like they've continued that. Yeah. Because Chris Hemsworth can be very good. You just need to have like his back, essentially. Yeah. Like you can't be let down by bad writing or anything like that, because he can deliver things in a very comedic manner. Because
even like Dementus as well, like he is obviously the sort of crazy warlord guy, but he does have like a sensitive side, because the whole point he like kidnaps Furiosa is because it's like a surrogate daughter kind of thing. Like he lost his kids probably early on, like in sort of the Wasteland, and he gives like Furiosa like his kids like old teddy bear, and then when like they part ways initially when she goes to work for Immortan Joe, he like takes it back off of her and is kind of like, like sad, like give me back that toy, you don't deserve this toy kind of thing.
And that's the thing, while it is very eccentric, you do kind of give him a couple of human moments.
I think as well, like his kind of thing is like he obviously captures, like he becomes the ruler of Gastown for like Immortan Joe, but then he kind of messes up, like he just loses control.
He gets too big for his boots.
He does, yeah. So like it's sort of like an open revolt there. He's kind of like kind of screwed up here kind of thing, and obviously he's had like his own men leave him, so he is messing up. And like in that final thing he has between him and Furiosa. Like, obviously she just wants revenge. She wants to kill him and make him suffer or whatever. And he's just kind of there like, this isn't going to work kind of thing. Like, I wanted this for when my family got killed, but like, it's not going to bring him back kind of thing. So at the end of the day, all you can really do is make sure it's epic kind of thing, which was a good line. So it's a good, and then yes, I was kind of thinking, is it ambiguous how he dies? But it's not ambiguous, is it, how she kills him, and how does she kill him?
Well, she doesn't necessarily kill him. He's still alive. Isn't he?
Makes him suffer, I guess. How does she deal with?
So,
doing...
but I thought I don't understand, because I thought that she just shoots him.
They kind of did a
Because
run
they
of
say-
like different executions
Yeah.
of how, like, and that's like, I think
That's
him saying like, you
folklore.
could do this, or you could make it epic, or you could do that, or you could do that, and then
Yeah.
it kind of runs through the way.
It's like the history man's narrating it, because he's kind of like, this is Furiosa's like saga or whatever, and he kind of goes, so then she finally came face to face with Dementus, and like the myths and legends go, she shot him, or she dragged him, or she did this, but this is like what Furiosa told me happened kind of thing. So it's like all this hearsay as to how she dealt with Dementus, but this is actually what happened. And it was she like, throughout the movie, she's like carrying a peach tree seed, which she got at the beginning of the movie, round with her. So she, at the top of the citadel, grows a peach tree. I know we were talking with sort of our friends at the cinema afterwards how it works.
How it would grow around him.
Because it was in his crotch area.
Yeah.
I think was the main thing. So it's like, did they plant it under him? Did they plant it inside of him? What did they...
What did I say? I made a joke about like maybe they did some trellising around him.
Yeah, you did, didn't you?
No, she's a real life horticulturist. So technically, Dementus is still alive. He's got this tree growing out of him, but he's just being kept alive by the tree, and like just this drips of like water coming down from the ceiling, which again is cool and kind of like fitting in that world. Again, how practical that would be. Probably good. I don't know. Do you think that could work?
I've got no idea.
You're the gardener here. Do you think that could work?
I've got
Are we
no
gonna have
idea.
Are we gonna have an old man in the garden just with a tree growing out of him?
Let's hope not. I think at that point I might say, it's been nice.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I feel like we'll get on to the point where we'll score it with our new scoring system. So, Tulip, take it away. What is our new scoring system? Because now we can't do numbers anymore.
I've got to remember it. So it's almost like a scale of 1 to 5, isn't it? Technically.
So we are doing
No,
numbers.
No,
Don't do
shut up, right?
numbers.
Come on, you know what I mean. So on one end of the scale, we've got utter rubbish. We've got boring, a step above that. We've got it's all right. We've got go and watch it, and we've got masterpiece. So masterpiece is only reserved for those like, we absolutely love this. Obviously, you know what masterpiece means. Go and watch it means it's not a masterpiece, but we think that you should watch it. We
Still
recommend
good.
it.
It's still good.
Still
Yeah,
good.
enjoyable.
Enjoyable. It's all right means it's a fine film.
Yeah.
You don't need to go and watch it, but if it's on in the background, then it's fine.
Yeah.
Boring, probably reserved for me because I'll be saying it the most, but obviously you guys can chip in as well. It's just whenever I think something is boring, basically. And then utter rubbish, obviously, don't go and watch it. We think it's terrible.
Yeah.
Actually a bad film.
Yeah.
That's our scoring system.
Okay.
So
Let's
go
go
on.
around.
Let's
Go around
remember
the
that
room.
for that next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I have to have a written on a piece of paper and just stick it on the wall. This is the system.
Yeah. Kieran?
Why are you starting with me? Too much pressure. Right. So let's think. See, you shouldn't start with me. You should let me think.
Right, Michael then. Go on.
All right. Because this film isn't as good as Fury Road, it still has its merits though. So my review would be go watch it.
Well done, Kieran.
Okay, so you're gonna hate me. I'm in between. It's all right, and go and watch it. There we go. It's all right, but still go and watch it.
For God's
So this
sake.
is basically your thing of go watch it and form your own opinion.
Yeah, the boring
Look,
opinion.
it was enjoyable. I liked bits of it. I didn't like all of it. I felt it was too long. I was tired when I came out. It was all right, but
Do you know what that says to me? Boring.
No,
That's what
Boring
mine
seems too
is.
harsh.
It's boring.
because I did enjoy bits of the film, and I enjoyed it on the whole.
Yeah.
It's just yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I feel like you are swinging more to it. It's alright.
It's alright.
I think you are.
It's alright.
Yeah.
You just
Let's
want to
leave it
say
there.
go and watch it because that's what you'll always say to anybody
Well,
about a film.
Go and watch the film. If you're interested in a film and you want to watch it, just go and watch it. That's my thing.
Have to be devil's advocate, don't
Yeah,
you?
I do, because people should watch
What's-
films.
what's called
And specifically go and watch it in the cinema because it's so much better.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
very true. That is true.
Yeah. We're probably going to revise this this scoring system. next
I
week,
feel
but-
like the scoring system works for everyone but me because I can't score anything because I'm useless.
So, Tula, yours is boring.
Mine is boring because I think that there's a difference between boring, but it can still have good parts of the film and it
Yeah.
can still be classed as a really good film, but to me it's still boring.
I think boring is basically where your personal preference is like kind of thing, like your personal view.
That's why
like,
I
you
said
know,
that
yeah.
boring is like almost reserved for me to say
Yeah,
when
yeah.
I think that something is boring, and
Yeah.
this is boring.
Yeah.
Like, if I never watch this film again, I won't feel like I'm missing. And if
Yeah,
I'd
yeah, yeah.
never saw it, if I'd never seen it, I wouldn't have felt like I was missing out.
No, which is fair enough. I feel like these movies in particular, like, aren't everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
Like, I was speaking to our friend Logan and he didn't like Fury Road. I just was like, oh, God, really is like, you know, some people think it's like
You've got more
masterpiece.
people against you than with you, babe. on
Yeah,
this
so
one.
far it's just me and Isaac who really like it, so should have brought him here. Would have been evenly
Yeah.
matched then. But yeah, I think that's our scores then. So go watch it. Kieran's score, and then
Ignore Kieran.
Yeah, and then it's boring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, just filter me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretend
We'll
I'm
just,
not in
we'll just cut your bits out.
it. Like cut the screen so I'm not in it.
Just be as soon as you're about to talk, we'll just cut you out like, "Hi," or just dub over you.
This film is really good.
Anyway, let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Well, that was our review for Furiosa. Many tangents were taken there. Just staring at you like, you.
Just let it happen. Michael.
Yeah.
Just let it flow.
So I think that's where we work best, is when we go on tangents of things. So.
It's where I work best, apparently.
Yeah. But that was it for this week's episode. Thank you very much for listening or watching, and we will see you next week. Is it getting a bit full
No,
now
I
with
don't
like
know.
what's actually coming
I
out?
don't know what we're doing next week. Let's not even make reference to it, otherwise we're forced to do it and we've got no wiggle room. So whatever we're watching next week or whatever we're talking about next week, you're going to be watching and listening to it anyway. So just join us there next Wednesday.
See you then.